So, how do you solve a crime that seems to leave no trace whatsoever? Well, the answer might not come from some seasoned detective, but from the quietest person in the room. Today, we're going to step right into the mind of a very ordinary man who uses the simple power of observation to unravel a really extraordinary theft. And this is our guide. He's not a cop, he's not a private eye, he's just a regular guy with a pretty incredible skill for seeing what others miss. And he's about to show us how the smallest, most insignificant details can actually solve the biggest puzzles. So who is this quiet observer, really? What is it about his way of seeing the world that lets him turn everyday stuff into crucial clues? Let's, get to know the mind behind the method. All right, this is William Morris. By day, he's an assistant at a high-end antique jeweler's. But his real passion? He's a student of human nature. You see, he doesn't just read detective fiction for fun. He's actually shaped his whole way of thinking around it. He focuses on what he calls real detection. The kind that relies on nothing more than a pair of sharp eyes and good old common sense. His method is, it's fascinatingly simple. He truly believes that people are walking stories. And if you just pay close enough attention, their clothes, their hands, even the way they walk, it'll tell you everything you need to know. For him, every little detail is a piece of the puzzle. And this brings us right to the scene of the crime. Rignier's, the antique jewelry shop where Morris works. An otherwise ordinary day is about to get interrupted by two very peculiar people. So first, Morris spots this girl across the street, and she's just staring into an undertaker's window. Kind of weird, right? He clocks her arty look, this distinctive coat, no hat, low heels. Then, just moments later, his attention gets pulled to a customer who walks in. An American man, maybe late 30s, with a smooth face, and this is crucial, he's chewing something. Now at this point, these are just disconnected little observations. Nothing links them together. The American asks to see some rings, and this is where a quiet afternoon suddenly turns into a high-stakes puzzle. So Morris brings out several trays of rings. The man glances over them, but one in particular really stands out, this magnificent 17th century piece. It's so valuable. The owner, Mr. Rednier, he doesn't even like selling it. And then the American asks to see it one last time. And just like that, poof, it's gone. Morris puts the tray back on the counter, and the floral ring just isn't there anymore. He's absolutely stunned, embarrassed. In all his years working there, nothing, and I mean nothing like this has ever happened before. Okay, so the situation escalates, and it escalates fast. Mr. Regnier is called in, and the American, even though he's acting all offended, he agrees to be searched. And they check everything, his pockets, his socks, his shoes, the whole shebang. And they find absolutely nothing. No trace of the ring. It's like it's just vanished into thin air. Now, right in the middle of all this confusion, who walks in? The artsy girl from across the street. And for William Morris, this is the exact moment when all those seemingly random details from his quiet observations start to click, click, click into place. You see, the first piece of the puzzle for Morris has nothing to do with the American. It's all about the girl. He asks himself this simple, brilliant question. Why the undertakers? Most people don't just linger there. The only logical reason? She had to be killing time, waiting for a very specific moment to make her move. Her reason for coming into the shop seems innocent enough, right? She pulls out this cheap paste bracelet and asks if they can fix the clasp, which, by the way, is something a high-end jeweler like Regnier's would never do. It's a perfect excuse to be there. But Morris, he's looking closer. As she pulls off her glove, his mind just registers three little details in an instant. No wedding ring, which is a bit unusual for a woman her age, nail varnish that was put on really carelessly, and a small split in the seam of her glove. Now, individually, they mean nothing. But you put them all together, you start to paint a picture of someone who is not quite who she seems to be. Someone who's just putting on a front. And as the commotion keeps going, Morris just happens to look down. He remembers the American was chewing something. And there it is, right where the girl had just been standing. A small, clean mark on the carpet. And with that, the picture is now complete. So, here's where it all comes together. How does Morris connect all these random facts, the undertaker's window, the chewing gum, that shabby glove, into a single coherent theory of the crime?
Okay, so here's how the whole heist worked. It was like a perfectly timed performance. The Americans chewing gum, that was the crucial tool. While everyone was totally focused on him, he palmed the ring and stuck it to the underside of the counter with that gum. Across the street, the girl, his lookout, saw the search begin. That was her cue. She comes in with her distraction, that cheat bracelet. And then the final move. She pretends to be clumsy, drops her things. As she bends down to pick them up, she grabs the ring and the gum, presses the gum into the carpet to get rid of the evidence, and then just walks out. Absolutely brilliant.
So what can we learn from this? This isn't just some clever story about a stolen ring. No, it's a powerful lesson in a way of thinking, a method of problem solving that's all about seeing what everyone else overlooks. Let's just break down Morris's technique for a second. He questioned an anomaly. Why the Undertaker's? He noticed tiny physical details, the glove, the varnish, that little spot on the carpet. He observed their behavior and then connected everything into one logical theory. See, he didn't have special powers, he just paid attention. And this quote from Morris himself just perfectly sums up his entire philosophy, doesn't it? A single strange detail might be nothing, but two or three? Well, that's when a story starts to form. That's when you go from just simple observation to true deduction. So the next time you're facing some kind of puzzle, whether it's at work or just in life, think like William Morris. Look a little closer. Ask yourself, what details are hiding in plain sight? Because so often, the biggest breakthroughs aren't found in the obvious, but in the things we all tend to overlook.